All right, this is going to be a fun panel. I could see it already. They're all bonded. This is great. So we are so happy to have you here. This is our second year of this Leaders in Sustainability speaker series for the Westchester Green Business Program. And we are so grateful that Westchester Community College has been the host of our events going into the second year. This is our fifth one, and we have a lot more to come. So this morning is going to be an amazing discussion. It's going to be about what the impact is that sustainable organizations, and all of these women work for sustainable organizations, the impact that these organizations have on community, on people. And we think it's going to be a fantastic discussion, and everybody's definition of community is different. And hopefully it's going to make you think about what the definition is of your community for your business or your organization. And I want to acknowledge my colleague, my partner, Scott Fernquist. We are both the program directors of the Westchester Green Business Program back since 2009. And Yana Petrakova is with our program, and she's actually moved to New Hampshire, but she's working with us still. So everybody keeps asking about her, so she's still with us. And Meg Curtin, who there she is. Meg is the newest member of our program. She just started this week. We are so excited to have Meg, and she's going to be responsible for marketing and membership. So hopefully all of you will get to meet her and know her over time. So I want to acknowledge, you can, I think, go to the next slide. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank the partners of the program, the Business Council of Westchester and Westchester County Government. Without them, we just, we've been working together on this since its inception, and it's a great public-private partnership. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Kevin Plunkett, the Deputy County Executive, to say a few words about Westchester County.
Thank you. Danny, thank you very much. Please forgive my fall cold. But it's my great honor to be here once again to represent our county executive and represent Westchester County at the Green Business Challenge Certification and Sustainable Speakers Program. This is a very important day, an important event in Westchester County. We are very proud to be a partner for this project with the Westchester Business Council. John Ravage will speak in a moment. Our sponsors, Con Ed, and certainly we couldn't do it without Westchester Community College, who's been hosting this event. I recall somebody saying once, they said, it takes a village. It takes a village. And I think today's local community theme, and our great panelists up here really highlight how important it is that the sustainable practices that our governments are engaged in, and our private sector corporations are engaged in, and businesses, and our not-for-profits, really have to take hold at the local community level. And what can be the impacts, because it's at that local level, or at that village level, that we all start to influence one another. And the best practices start spreading out amongst all of us. I mean, just think about the recycling programs that started maybe 20 years ago, how important they have been. And that's a local community, has a local community impact that's going to be something that really serves the next generation. So to the panelists, I want to thank you. And I know the input today will be very important, but we need to leave here. We need to leave here in our local communities, in our county. We are sensitive to the sustainability issues that need to be taken to the future, and we all need to work together to make sure that it's a success. So thanks to everybody, to Danny, to Scott, and to all who've made this program a success. And I always look forward, I know, to the next one, to make sure that we continue the initiatives and the momentum. Thanks, Danny.
I'd like to ask John Ravitz you're going to take this out? John Ravitz to come. John is the COO, the Executive VP and COO of the Business Council, and very, very involved with our program.
Thank you, Danny. Good morning, everybody. This is an exciting day because it's a continuation of a program that really started as a concept in 2009 and now has grown into a program that other states are looking at. other municipalities around the country are looking at. And sometimes the saying is, plagiarism is the best compliment. Well, we'll let other counties and other states model what Danny, Scott, and Yana have put together. I also want to thank our sponsors. They've all been great. Con Edison, Westchester Community Fund, all of you have really seen the need for being able to support a program that really does get down to the root, as Kevin said, of the local level, and really beginning to talk about sustainability issues and tying it into business. Because it's good business to have those sustainability issues. It's good business to work with your employees and have them buy in to learning more about what they can do to make our environment better. And you're going to hear examples today of community leaders who really have not only said, yes, we're going to do it, but then have really put in the time to do it. And it's not a snap of the finger type of a thing. It's a real in-depth program and a commitment that has to happen. And it has to happen from the leaders that you're going to hear as they go out and talk to their staffs about it. So I can't be more impressed with the panel that we have today. Many of them have gone through both the challenge and the certification program. And when we do the awards and come to their facilities to give them their awards, you really see the body of work that they've been able to do. So I want to congratulate them for that. I also want to let all of you know that this program that Danny and Scott have put together is going to continue to grow. And it's going to continue to grow because we have it's taken us a few years, but we have finally finished all of the contracts to receive a huge grant from NYSERDA to give Danny and Scott and Meg and Yana more resources and more tools that they can use to develop the Westchester Green certification program. So there's so much to look forward to in the future. There's so much more work that we can do, and hopefully some of you who have not yet taken the certification and the challenge, when you hear what these organizations have done, we'll be coming to your facility soon to do some award ceremonies. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, John. Now I would like to invite Teresita Wiesel to come up and talk to us. She's the Vice President of Workforce Development and Community Education here at Westchester Community College.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here to Westchester Community College, especially on behalf of our relatively new president, Dr. Belinda Miles, who many of you may have met already. We remain steadfastly committed to being part of this project here at the college, and as Deputy County Executive Plunkett said, to really serve as a convener, as a hub, as a resource to all of you. I remember when Scott and Danny first came to meet with us, this building had just been open in 2010, and you were really just in your infancy, Scott, with this program. And our interest was mutual because many of you may know that the Gateway Center is the first county-owned Gold LEED certified building. And we took great pride in that when we opened in 2010, and we continued to take great pride in that position. I'm fascinated by this program because of the ecosystem that it has created within the county, and I use that term deliberately. So what a great opportunity to collectively bring together government, education, corporate America, big business, small business, philanthropy, in a way that really supports sustainability and our efforts as a county to become as sustainable a county as is possible. No better example of that is an event that took place and a new part of the Westchester Community College curriculum, thanks to the generosity of Dan Connors and Aris Wind. So I take a minute to say thank you, Dan, on behalf of the college. Aris Wind gifted to the college a remote power unit, and I welcome all of you to make sure to see it before you leave this morning's event. It is located outside our technology building, which is the building right next door to this one. And so the remote power unit will become an integral part of our curriculum in energy systems and in many of our other programs, including a program that we have through the generosity of Con Edison, our Bright Futures program, that focuses on creating a pipeline from high school to college to the world of work in the technologies. And so now we have this wonderful tool that our students will use. We may even get a few English majors to take interest and find out what that's all about. And it's a great example of the collaboration and the collective impact that we all have working together. So again, on behalf of the college, I welcome all of you. I look forward to taking part in this morning's presentation and would welcome an opportunity to get to meet any of you. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'm going to ask Jane Solnick. We're doing things a little bit out of order because, of course, I'm going to thank all of our sponsors, but I'm going to start with Con Ed, and Jane is going to say a few words and then introduce our first speaker, and then I'll come back and do the rest. Come on. No, we're going to do it that way. And Jane is the Director of Public Affairs for Westchester for Con Edison.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning, everybody. We go back to, I think when we said it started in 2009. This has been a great public-private partnership for all of us involved, as everybody has reiterated here. For Con Edison, it's unique. So we get to work with the county, we get to work with the municipalities, we get to work with the college, as been mentioned, and we have worked with several of our panelists and who have been able to take advantage of the programs that we have. Many people say, why is Con Edison interested in something like this? You want to sell electricity. Yes, we do want to sell electricity. That's absolutely true. But we also know that the energy industry has changed. There's more demand. And nobody wants us to be building more infrastructure in their backyard. We all have to be smart and sustainable about what we have and what we use. So I encourage you to also, we have a table out front. I invite you to stop by there. We have very knowledgeable people who can tell you about some of the programs that may be mentioned when people are speaking this morning that many of our residents and businesses throughout the county have been able to take advantage of and have seen real savings and have real savings for our environment as well. So we encourage you to do that. And we're happy to continue with our partnership in this endeavor. But I'd like to now introduce you to a colleague of mine who we've invited to come up today. This is not his typical neighborhood, so people from Westchester may not know him. I know you know some of our other faces quite frequently. But Dave Papasol is a sales and marketing professional in the field of critical energy infrastructure and energy efficiency. In his current position with Con Edison as manager of commercial and industrial energy efficiency programs, he oversees a $300 million program portfolio supported by a network of over 700 marketing partners. I'd like to welcome Dave and introduce him to you.
Good morning, and thanks for the invite. I'm very pleased to be here. I have some really exciting stuff to talk about and a very short period of time to tell you about it. So I'd first like to start and just say that our thoughts and prayers are with Con Ed and our O&R crews that are heading down to the south to help rebuild the electric distribution system in Florida once the winds subside. Going down to work with crews that helped us after Sandy. So very interesting day, but we have a very interesting future, and I know many of you have participated in some of our energy efficiency and demand management programs that we funded over the last 6 years. There's some major changes coming up in the next 3 years. We're just in the midst of getting a rate case approved. And it really marks a transition from business as usual into a REV environment, which is the current regulatory proceeding, which is called Reforming the Energy Vision. And it really is going to substantially increase the amount of money and the types of programs that we'll be able to offer to customers. So our funding over the next 3 years will basically double in the energy efficiency and demand management areas. Our goals and our hopes to penetrate the market and help it will actually triple over those 3 years. So by 2019, our energy efficiency and demand management budgets will be double of what they are in 2016. So you can expect to see some new innovative programs. And the other thing is that you will see different types of programs and certainly some outreach from us in terms of getting input from the community and the marketplace on how we could actually achieve these goals and how we could do good things for people to help their buildings perform better in terms of energy. I'd also like to tell you that as part of this 3-year rate case, we will begin implementation of smart meters for every one of our 3.5 million customers. So we've had smart meters for our largest customers for many years. That's about 3,000 customers. So over the next 6 years, we will install and we'll spend $1.2 billion and install 3.5 million smart meters for customers, and that is really going to unlock a new world of opportunity for customers. Visibility into exactly when and how they use energy, and that is something we don't have in a monthly metered account, which is what most of the other accounts are today. So we expect to be able to help customers to analyze that very granular data that comes out of those new meters and suggest solutions, and then with new incentive monies, help customers to actually install and implement those solutions. So very exciting times ahead. In keeping with the theme of this panel, I'd also like to talk about an innovative program that was kind of a precursor or a test bed of the transition to REV, and it's called the Con Edison Neighborhood Program. It was designed and created to alleviate a problem that we had with a substation out on the border of Brooklyn and Queens. And there was explosive energy growth in that area over the last 5 years, which caused a substation to be overloaded. So the traditional solution for that would have been for Con Edison to build a $1.2 billion substation and put that online to alleviate the problem. Obviously, that cost gets built into rates, and rates increase to cover those costs over time. So we came up and proposed an innovative solution that said, rather than spending that $1.2 billion, we propose to spend $200 million, substantially less, and invite the marketplace to suggest solutions that could be on our facilities, but mostly would be on customer sites. So we actually put out an RFQ in that area. We got over 80 responses between our experts and outside experts in the field. We have analyzed all of those proposals. Some of them you may have seen recently. There was an announcement that a refrigeration storage device is going to be put into a lot of supermarkets. But basically, we reached out to the marketplace and said, tell us how you can help us. We need to cut 87 megawatts of peak energy, and in this very, very specific geography, and maybe you could hit the slide. So a very specific geography that's served by the overloaded substations. And so we want to save the ratepayers about over 80% of what the traditional cost would be to fix this problem. And we also want to introduce new technologies into the marketplace and be able to test them before we go to other neighborhoods to do this. So if you look, next slide, please. We started out over the first year as an expansion of our small business program and multifamily program. So we hit all these businesses in the specific geography, and that generated about 13 megawatts of the savings out of the total of 87 that we need. We're now expanding to larger businesses and cogeneration and all types of solutions to get the rest of that. But we're well on our way, but we never would have gotten any of this without changing the way we do business. And it really was a lot about community outreach, elected officials, business groups, business improvement districts, and really to get the word out and really help customers understand what our problem was, but also what the opportunity was, because these small businesses all got lighting replaced in their businesses for free as part of this program. Multifamily buildings got many things done for free, and that's because the savings there are we're able to evaluate and put a value on them because we know that $1.2 billion is a lot of money to spend on a substation. So if you could change it again. So we also have some innovative marketing. We are now moving to the next phase of the community program, which will be residential lighting changes. Our in-house graphic artists created the design for these great-looking vans that are going to start rolling out in Brooklyn and Queens. But the interesting thing, especially relative to this panel, is that this is really, we're developing an approach that will be used anywhere in our service territory, certainly in Westchester when any problems arise in our system. This is our new way of solving those problems. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to the panel discussion.
Slides. Okay, I think you have to go back to Con Ed because I didn't thank Jane. Oh, sorry. we need to see their logo again. So back to our regular program. We want to thank our sponsors. Con Edison has been a platinum level sponsor of the program since its inception in 2009. And as we say all the time, we could never, ever have been where we are without that and without your vision for our program. We have two wonderful gold sponsors, Westchester Community Foundation and Agera Energy, and we're fortunate enough to have Laura Rossi, who's the Executive Director of the Westchester Community Foundation, on the panel today. We love our bronze sponsors because they're all in the program, and many of them are certified, and to us it speaks volumes when you are being supported by those who are going through your program. So we're so grateful to our bronze sponsors. And these are the 20 organizations that have achieved certification to date. So we have, and you'll see in the next slide, we have almost 70 organizations that are members of Westchester Green Business-Certified, and these 20 have achieved certification. But it's important to know that even though they're certified, they are far from out of the program. Actually, the organizations that have been certified are extremely active. It's a membership program. So no matter whether you were certified, when you were certified, our members contribute so much to the continuation of the program. So I'll give you a second, but these are the first 36. And as John mentioned, we got a large grant, and actually by the end of June 2018, we are supposedly, we need to have 140 companies in the program, and we're actually hoping to have a lot more than that. So the importance, we're so excited about this topic. I'm very happy that we're getting to it. So it is so important, we're fortunate enough to sort of have a window into what our businesses are doing and the people that they're touching and the different communities that they are touching. And, we just feel that it's a story that hasn't yet really been told. Sort of coming, because everybody's a little bit in a bubble and not really realizing, the collective impact that's going on. I mean, one thing today is that I know that Greenberg Nature Center Executive Director Margaret Goldberg is over at Regeneron today because they're having a conversation because they met through our program about composting. And that is what it's all about. It's about, recognizing who your community is, connecting businesses in all kinds of different ways. So we're so excited about that. Go next. So this is sort of an old slide, but it's, a favorite. And because, what is a sustainable organization? Fiscally sound, very important. You can't, be sustainable without being profitable. Measuring impacts, which is something that we do through our program, and knowing what your impact is on people. It helps to attract customers, clients, investors, and funders. Really values. We've seen, a real change in organizations when they commit organizationally to the program because it embraces and it welcomes all staff to be engaged in something that everybody feels good about. teamwork. I mean, you can read talent. I mean, there's no question. These, these different points have been proven over and over again. And if you ask, the members of our 70 companies, they would absolutely say that that's true. I'm going to call Scott up to do the next part.
Good morning. So without any further ado, I'm just going to actually introduce our panelists, and we'll jump right into the panel discussion. So I guess I'll go from left to right. We're so happy for all of you to be here today. Thank you again for volunteering your time. So Lauren Tracy, on the far left, is a senior manager of strategic initiatives at the USTA, which is the United States Tennis Association, a not-for-profit organization which serves as the national governing body for the sport of tennis and owns and operates the US Open, the highest attended annual sporting event in the world. She is responsible for executing many of the USTA's organizational priorities, including the US Open award-winning Environmental Sustainability Program, which is uniquely tailored to accommodate the more than 700,000 fans visiting the tournament grounds during the 2 weeks of the US Open. Welcome, Lauren. Next is her colleague, Ann Kalashian. She is an IT project manager and solutions specialist with the USTA. She has been a member of the Employee Green Committee for the past 5 years and has led the engagement with the Westchester Green Business Challenge for the White Plains office. Next is our longtime friend and partner, Ann Jaffe Holmes. Ann is Director of Education at the Greenberg Nature Center, where she has been teaching, designing sustainability programs, and creating community dialogues and environmental topics since 2007. Ann got her start in sustainability education and advocacy as a college student when she and fellow students persuaded Stanford University to open its first campus recycling center in 1976. I think that's such a cool story. Working with the staff of the Greenberg Nature Center towards achievement of Green Business Certification has been profoundly satisfying to Ann. Thank you, Ann. So our next panelist is Laura Rossi, and Laura Rossi is the Executive Director of the Westchester Community Foundation, a nonprofit philanthropic institution which connects people and gathers resources to improve the quality of life in Westchester County. She oversees an annual grants budget of $2 million, including an environmental portfolio that invests in programs and promote sustainability, resiliency, and a healthier environment. Welcome, Laura. And our last but not least is Marie O. Lynch. She has worked as an administrative professional in human services for the past 21 years. She is from the Arc of Westchester, and she is passionate about mission-based services and works and volunteers and organizations devoted to improving people's lives. She has the pleasure of working for Arc of Westchester, an organization that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, where she chairs the Green Team. The Arc of Westchester Green Team is tasked with enhancing the agency's sustainability efforts. She sees the work of the team as integral to the health and wellness of people and the planet, and hopes that more people will exercise their responsibility to the earth and to one another. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion, and we actually asked all of the panelists to put together a few slides sort of as an intro into their organizations and their role in the community as background information. So I think we're just going to start with that, and I'd love for the panelists to, the first question we're going to pose to everyone this morning is really, what is your definition of community? What is your organization's, role in the community? So the slides will touch on that. So we're going to start with the ARC. So Marie, if you could just walk us through, give us a little background on your organization and walk us through the slides that you put together for us, which explain your role in the community, that'd be wonderful.
There we go. Okay, all right, terrific, thank you. Yeah, this first slide I put together because, of course, one of the questions is our impact on the community. And I wanted to show what community means to ARC of Westchester. I mean, if you look at this map, our locations, over 75 locations, of course, really throughout the county. So, you know, it would be nice to be able to say we're headquartered in one spot and that's our community where we can make the little bit of difference right there. But indeed, a quick glance at that map shows you that that's not true, that our community is all of Westchester County with locations as far north and south and east and west in the county as you can go. So I hope that illustrates that well. Things that people don't know about ARC of Westchester is that we have an early childhood education program, and part of what's exciting about that is it allows us to work with at the earliest ages with children, not just about their integration into community, but what it means to teach them about having sustainable futures, about bringing hope for their sustainable futures, and to engage them in projects where they can explore what that means and what that'll continue to mean for them as they grow and age. Just one other thing about that side is that we also have a gallery in our headquarters, which is that we have a space called Gallery 265, where our local artists throughout Westchester County can work hand in hand with the artists that we support through our programs to use materials, recycled materials, towards the production of artwork and goods that are available and are on display. The other thing that is part of our sustainable community, of course, is that we have businesses. We have a business called eDoc New York, and it is all about, you know, reducing paper, having things scanned and electronic. So you see individuals there engaged in that, and that our day programs have a variety of people in volunteer programs and in employment where they are gardening, composting, recycling, and doing things that are part of sustainable practice. And then our final slide, really what I wanted to show you here is that the history of ARC of Westchester is one of integrating people into the community. So this is a picture of individuals at one of the houses where they're with their neighbors, out walking the dogs, doing things where there are members of their community valued for what they do and bring to the community both in daily living and in recreation, and what that means in terms of our ability to encourage others in their sustainable practices because of the way that we interact in our community. So.
Great, thanks, Marie. We're gonna hop over to Ann now from the Greenberg Nature Center, where you can walk us through some of the slides with really just images depicting different partnerships and community partnerships you guys have in place. So.
So
you don't have to follow this order necessarily.
Yeah, I was going to say the order. I'd like to just say at the outset that the concept of community for the Greenberg Nature Center, it starts with the land that is the reason we exist as an organization. We exist with a mission to protect and use the land, the 33 acres that we have in an urbanized area, to connect people to nature and to natural systems and all of life on the planet. So starting with the land, our concept of community works out in a very deeply grassroots way because our mission is to educate and create connection. So we start with children and families locally right around the nature center, the school districts and the families around the nature center, but it works its way outward. For example, when we do recycling programs in, say, Edgemont or Dobbs Ferry or Irvington, we connect to the vendors that work with the cafeterias or provide the food for the lunches, and then we start working through the businesses. We connect to the PTAs, so it radiates out through the parents. We connect to the school administration, and from there it just goes viral. So that's one way that, starting at the grassroots, we end up having tremendously intricate and complex and comprehensive outreach growing through community. So this is a picture of one of our recycling operations in Greenville School in Edgemont. The children are a wonderful place for us to start. Many of our programs actually start with children, and then we build upwards all the way up through municipal, county, and state level government policies. The children are a wonderful place to start because the receptivity is so complete and deep, and they provide us with so much energy. My colleagues and I, we just take in so much energy when we work with the children that it fuels us for the programs later in the day or at night that are about government policies to support the development of new sustainable infrastructure and systems. So this is an example. This is our corporate volunteers. So many of our corporate partners and sponsors work with us as volunteers, and in our gardens and on our property. And in these engagements, again, by doing hands-on real work, just like with ARC, you know, you connect very deeply in your understanding of the changes that humanity needs to make in order to bring our behaviors back within the realm of the natural systems of the planet. So this is another wonderful picture of our volunteer things.
Did you want me to go back to the slide with California?
Oh yeah,
example,
this is a
great
example of our, thank you, Scott, one of the examples. Our corporate partners are fantastically important because they influence us and support us, and we're so grateful, but then they are influenced by us. And California Pizza Kitchen happens to be across the street from the Greenberg Nature Center. We don't provide food on our property, and they are working with us to provide healthy foods that are produced, prepared in sustainable practices, and to package their takeout in all compostables. And they have provided for us in our events, through learning from us, all compostable packaging for the foods that come onto our property. We are so amazed at their receptivity as a corporation. Some of the packaging that they adopted to accommodate our events are now being used by California Pizza Kitchen all over the country, which is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
And I also just want to say that it is so exciting to me to be partners with Con Edison. Con Edison's been, forever a supporter of the Greenberg Nature Center. And we are so grateful, especially now that, I don't know what happened there. You got a battery?
There's a backup mic up there in case you want to use the other one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think it's working.
Oh,
It's
it's
not
working
working.
now?
No, it's not.
So, and anyway, you might be able to hear me. Is it working now? Oh, thank you, Laura. How'd you do that? But now in the REV environment, the REV environment, it's terribly exciting that exactly our missions, Con Edison's and ours, are coming into such close alignment, really. And that to me is like so beautiful and exciting because you see business making the shift towards what came to us as a mission from a completely different angle. So
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
It's a great example, leading by example. It's really exciting. So the next is USTA. So Anne and Lauren, if you want to walk us through some of your slides depicting what you guys are up to in the community.
Well, just talking about community. Sure. Okay. I guess I'll start. So USTA really defines the community in a lot of different ways. Typically, because we are the governing body, we look at our community as all of our tennis community. So throughout the U.S. we have, the players, we have the providers of tennis, we have our organizers, and also our fans. But we thought we would start out by talking about the community local to our headquarters in White Plains. And one thing we've done with the Green Committee is since 2006, we've done a tennis ball reuse program. I think that's really unique to our organization. So it's really an internal program where we collect all of the tennis balls that we use, either by our employees playing tennis, before work, at the lunchtime, and also through balls we get from our testing, and also from play that happens at the National Tennis Center. And we collect those, and then when organizations, they come to us and they request tennis balls for their, like schools request it for use on chairs, hospitals for use, same thing, walkers and things like that. Thank you. Yeah. And also dog toys and things like that. So we have a lot of organizations that come to us and are looking for free tennis balls. So last year in 2015, we had approximately 6,100 tennis balls that we were able to repurpose and send back out into the community. The largest one we sent out was for the Irvington School District, and they requested 3,000 tennis balls, and we were happy to be able to provide them to those to them. You can go to the next slide.
Sure.
One other area that at a local level we're able to connect with the community is in Corona Park. So that's the home of where the National Tennis Center is, where we have the U.S. Open. And in conjunction with Earth Day, we always get, we gather our employees and we go down and help the park with cleanup. So that's a nice program and a nice way to connect there. I'll hand it over to Lauren to talk about the U.S. Open.
So as Ann mentioned, being the national governing body of tennis, we have this really unique opportunity to have a number of touch points throughout the country and also through the U.S. Open internationally across the globe through sport. So right here, just a piece about our community and the people that we touch. I love this picture because what we have here this is our program at the U.S. Open. And so what we're showing here are people who are full-time employees that work for our organization, people that come and work for us for only 2 weeks, and how they're able to roll up their sleeves and get excited about the program and be engaged and to help us to meet our goals. What they're holding here is an award that we won earlier this year from the Green Sports Alliance as Innovator of the Year, which we're really excited about. And so, of course, we wanted to spread the word and have them hold the award because they also helped us get to that point. But the Green Sports Alliance, it's another network of sports leagues and another opportunity for us to touch the community through sport. It's a way to it's a different angle on trying to get the message out there about how important it is, what people's impact is on the environment and how we can start to educate people and change their behaviors. If you want to go to the next. So here are just a couple other some other photos from the U.S. Open. So we have, again, I think a big part of community of the touch points. And so here we show just two different perspectives on touch points. So on the right there are our trash cans, which I'm sure a lot of us love looking at trash cans. So it's messaging again to our fans and another element of our community and trying to, this is where they're interacting with our program and we want to make it as easy as possible. So we've actually been through several different iterations of what these trash cans should look like and we've landed on pictures, which I liked the slide, I believe, Anne, of the children with the pictures above their waste cans. I mean, it really is just, photos are the best way to get the message out there. And then, of course, in the back of the house is the photo on the left, again, of our seasonal staff that's back there helping prep in the kitchen and things like that. And we're able to really control that waste stream back there, so we want to be able to message that the best way that we can. And then the photo on the bottom is something we're really, really proud of. The Grandstand Stadium, we opened this year down at the National Tennis Center, and it is the first professional tennis stadium to be LEED certified in the country. So we worked really hard to achieve that in the world. Thank you, Anne. Yes, of course, it's something, and I'd love to be here in a gold certified LEED building. I mean, it's an incredible endeavor, but it really is worth it. So,
thank you. So Laura, moving to sort of a different perspective, which is exciting too. So from the
Sure.
representing the community foundation.
So as a community foundation, we're a philanthropic organization. We hold Westchester's endowment. So having community in our name in this question is actually harder to answer in some ways. We are looking towards the future. All the investments we make are to improve the quality of life for everybody in Westchester in the future. So sustainability and our investments in sustainability started some time ago, back in 2008 when the county had a climate action plan and goals, and there started to be a lot of conversations in the what we call the enviros, right? The tried and true environmental organizations, but just general conversations around climate change and what was our response to that. Folks might remember ICLEI was very involved in the county, and I'm reflecting that in the past, what, 9 years, 8 years, it's now goes through all of our work. We make investments in a number of categories throughout the county. We make grants to nonprofits. We work in the areas of youth, in land use and transportation, in workforce development, in the arts, in health and environmental health, and in technical assistance to nonprofits such as the ones that you see here, and some folks are here in the audience. Sustainability actually runs through all of that work. We have donors who are passionate about youth programs, but want to be sure that there's a world in which the youth are going to grow up, and that what will that world look like. So when we look at the slides of young people, we see that thinking about the future and how kids do lead us. You're right, they lead us and they inspire us, and our donors are talking about that as well. Environmental health, looking at toxins and those kinds of things, are now part of the conversation. It's been quite a privilege for me to be in those early conversations with leaders and folks who are thinking about that. And you all should know that Westchester County is really a leader in the region and possibly in the country. Certainly New York with REV has, all eyes are on New York in philanthropy, but also in the field. So community is sort of all of that.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to the next slide? Sure. And so our grants since 1999 in our environmental portfolio is $3.1 million. And those have been at the local and regional level, thinking about land conservation, biodiversity, land use, smart growth communities, transit-oriented development. So we've invested in local advocacy efforts, we've invested in information sharing and promoting best practices such as the Green Business Challenge, but also for municipalities and also for nonprofits as well. We've supported a small grants program with the knowledge that a lot of efforts happen in those local citizens advisory councils and in the local schools. There was a great conversation up here before. And how do you foster that? Sometimes folks just need a little bit of money to get those first composting materials going and start to spread the word. And so we're very proud of having roots throughout all of the multiple school districts and municipalities in this county. And then, of course, supporting community education and outreach and fostering conversations so that it becomes normal to compost. It becomes normal to think about wind energy or microgrids or demand response. So starting in 2008, as I said, with the climate action plan that the county initiated, which brought in multiple sectors, we started moving into investments in sustainability. And a lot of that was really what a community foundation does in addition to make grants, is start to connect people. So someone in the northern part of Westchester and Bedford 2020 is in the house, talking to folks down in Greenburgh and saying, folks down here are speaking about some of the same things folks up here are. And that had started with a series of forums, which led to some organizations, the Northern Westchester Energy Action Consortium, the Southern Westchester Energy Action Consortium, which is now merged, and we have Sustainable Westchester in the house. But a lot of that started with convening folks to have conversations and just connecting people to one another. And what's wonderful, and it speaks to the leadership, is people want to be connected. They want to share what they're doing. And that's what Scott and Danny are doing all the time. It's just sharing best practices so folks don't have to reinvent the wheel. We also, because we are a division of the New York Community Trust, which is in New York City and has a large environment, a local, national, and an international environment portfolio, we've always been able to learn from our colleagues in the city and our philanthropy colleagues around the country of what are best practices. What's Boston doing, which is really kind of cool? How can we bring that back to Westchester? What's Chicago doing in green business? How can we bring that back to Westchester? That was in the early days. What's flipped now is we're going and saying, look what Westchester's doing. Boston, Chicago, even California. So now there can be national level conversations, which I think does move government investments to scale, so that, again, there starts to be a movement towards becoming more sustainable. And then we also developed a smart growth and livable communities emphasis, so that, as I mentioned, all of our other grants portfolio started to fit within that, so that the youth work did kind of have a sustainability slant, again, so that it's not kind of over there and those greenies are doing it over there, but it's something that the whole community is talking about and moving towards. Next slide. So the trends in environmental philanthropy I thought would be helpful to share are green practices in the workplace, environmental health. There are just a few funders, including ourselves, working in that. We've supported the start of the Children's Environmental Health Center of the Hudson Valley over at the medical center. It's a huge issue. Folks might not know, but there are like 2,000 toxic substances, and the FDA has only researched like 84 of them, you know, and they're a huge issue. How do we start to think about toxins and their effect on our environmental health? That's sort of the next wave. Those are international conversations, but we are seeing that play out here. Again, back to the kids. Environmental justice, that gets into land use, you know, and how can all of our communities, how can the whole community participate in the new green economy, or what their actual landscape looks like. Environmental education, such as you heard on the panel. Sustainable agriculture, I mean, it's more than farm to table. It's about what are we going to do about all the farmers that are retiring, and how do we bring new farmers from all walks of life into the new green economy, farming, and we're right at the seat of the Hudson Valley. And typically, sustainable agriculture has talked about the farm-to-table market being north of us, skipping over us down to the city. But we have a key role in that. And so we've made investments in local farming efforts here in Westchester. And it's great to hear about the California Pizza Kitchen, but there's a great movement there. And then, as I said before, promoting the green economy.
Thank you. And the county's Office of Tourism just released a farm map as well, so you can actually go on a farm tour all in Westchester and everything.
And that was our grantee, Hilltop.
Oh, really?
Hanover.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was very exciting to see that.
I did not even plan that. Okay. So I think you guys answered about the first 3 questions already that we had prepared. So actually, I think, you know, it'd be interesting because you've really answered the questions already about, you know, how do you define community? How has the community been, you know, impacted by your commitment to sustainability? How it's impacted your engagement efforts. So I would actually like to already jump to sort of looking toward the future, sort of what's on the horizon for your organizations moving forward with your sustainability efforts, and sort of like the potential for, you know, even more, creating even larger sustainable communities in the future. I mean, I'm just curious, like, what are your plans for moving forward? You know, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that. Anyone can start.
I'll take a first shot and then
Sure.
Pass it to whoever wants. For us, it's a lot about metrics. It's a lot about measuring how we're doing, which is why we were happy to invest in the Green Business Challenge, because infused in its proposal from the very beginning is we're going to start measuring, and we're going to measure together. The business community is going to have a common set of metrics and measure, because if we're not measuring, we don't know how we're doing. So we're interested in fostering that in all other sectors and putting that back out there and bringing back the hope of the county's climate action plan, which did set a reduction goal for greenhouse gas emissions.
Well, so we have a pretty expansive program at the U.S. Open, and we're tracking it. We work closely with a fantastic consultant through Eco-Evolutions, and she's really the brain of our program, but she's been a great asset. through the Westchester Business, the challenge, we really want to bring that more to our organization here in White Plains, in Westchester, and really build out our existing green team and to really have more of an impact within the community, to do even more than what Ann was talking about. In addition, since we're the national governing body for tennis, we have 700,000 members across the country. So yesterday, actually, we announced that we will be rolling out a communication plan specifically targeted at our members who are located everywhere, and so we're able to, again, just message to them, educate them, find ways to get them engaged in their local communities to try and help lessen their environmental footprint. So that's really what we're planning on in the immediate future.
Can you tell us a
That's so
little
exciting.
bit about what you built in Orlando? I mean, it seems to be extremely
Yes.
green, and it seems like community was a very big part of the thought process.
Yes, yes, yes. So it isn't officially opened yet, but we are finishing up the construction on the USTA National Campus, which will be the home of American tennis down in Orlando, which we're really excited about. There will be 100 tennis courts there. We've shifted our community tennis headquarters as well as our player development headquarters down to Orlando. And so all of that will be operating out of there. And we're on track to have the office building to be LEED certified, which we're really excited about. So of course, as we're making these changes and as we're coming into the community, we want to be aware of our footprint and try to make changes as the best that we can. So of course, the extension of our employee green team will be down there as well, trying to find different opportunities to, again, collect the tennis balls, go out there and help to green, help to do community cleanups and things like that, to really integrate ourselves into the community, which we're excited about.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, you really touched on the fact that you're part of a larger community and you have all of these partners and fans coming to your arena, but you also have this internal community within your organization, which is really how we'll be engaging with you through the certification program. We're so excited to be doing that.
So yeah, so it does. It helps to. It is, like you said, it's all about networking and connecting people and really just and educating people, because a lot of people, we have eco tips on the back of our draw sheets that we hand out at the U.S. Open, and just small little changes that people can make that can make such a huge impact. And it's just best practices, networking, and opportunities like this, I think, they're fantastic for the whole movement.
Exactly. And normally John Rabbit says it, but they see these things and they also bring these practices home, right?
Right.
John, so it's also, there's this ripple effect that we like to talk about, these communities that go well beyond, an individual organization. So it's
right.
Great.
And it's
Thank
great
you.
to see the change, because it's now, I think, people come to a sporting event and they expect to see recycling. I think when they see that the event is composting, I think they get even, or personally, but I think everybody gets really excited to see that great, they're composting here and all the things that even, I know at Yankee Stadium and all the great program that they have there as well, so. Okay.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to talk about their vision for the future and what you're planning? Great to hear.
I just wanted to recognize what Laura said in terms of measurables, right? And of course, for Arc of Westchester's vision for the future, in part, our past is about measurables, having participated and becoming certified and being able to measure the progress that we made there, and being able to do that in an ongoing way. But I think I want to marry that together, more importantly, I think, with what our friends at the USTA are doing, which is to say that while we can measure the change in our electricity use by putting in more Energy Star appliances at 75 locations, or retrofitting and retro-commissioning air conditioning and heating units, and switching out to all LED light bulbs. The future piece for us isn't going to be just measurable, because it's really going to be focused on the behavioral. And what we want to see more and more, as you said, the back of draw cards have tips on them. What we're doing more and more at Arc of Westchester moving into the future is sharing those green those green practices in everyday ways with both the people who we support, with our employees, with our donors, with people who support us, with our vendors, with the thought that it is the behavioral changes that they will make and that we will make organizationally that will have the more enduring and lasting impact, and perhaps the larger impact, if maybe not as measurable as we'd like it to be, but that will really be the ongoing change that we'll see in sustainability.
Wow, I just have to say this is exciting because what everybody's talking about, we're all on the same page and we're coming at it from our own unique resource bases, and it's very exciting. My colleagues and I were addressing the senior class of Edgemont High School just 2 weeks ago about the new recycling in their cafeteria and the behaviors that would require. And I was explaining to them, you know, our culture and economy are currently in a state of paradigm shift. We're making a paradigm shift that's a profound change from one integrated system to another based on different principles and different framework, from an extractive throwaway economy to a sustainable economy. I was definitely stretching them a bit, but I think and hope they were with me. But it all involves, a paradigm shift always requires behavior change. That's the ultimate necessity for paradigm change. You look at what Con Ed's doing, that's a paradigm shift. The way you're doing business now, it's a paradigm shift. And what's exciting to me is that when we got involved with the Westchester Green Business Council certification process, I finally felt like, yes, we're going to get all of our horses under us, all of our engines, you know, working in the same direction, because if we're not doing what we're trying to get people to do, then we just undermine our message totally. And so with our certification process, it's a very exciting process. When you get everybody in your organization focused on those behavior changes that are really going to be the modeling and demonstration, as well as the teaching and the leading that you want to do, then you're really on your way with great power. And I'm so grateful to Danny, Scott, and Yana, because they kept comforting me. This is a process that just is starting now that we're certified. It's not over. And there's so many things that we want to do. Our organization wants also to move into, we want to get solar energy on our roof. We want to have a windmill because we're on a hilltop with a good demonstration for that. And we want to begin to demonstrate more about both energy as well as the recycling and the composting and and we're getting a hydroponics urban agriculture demonstration in our greenhouse now too. So there's different initiatives that we have going, you know, on our property for educational and demonstration purposes.
Thanks, Ann. I'm always blown away by how much you manage to do with your staff, the projects you list. I wish we could show your video case study too here right now, which was awesome if you haven't seen it online. They did an amazing video detailing their whole certification process, so you should check that out. But I would love to just open it up to anyone who has questions in the audience, and I think I'm going to take, Danny, can you grab one of the, mics to Dan? Wait 1 second. Sorry.
On the sports side, to our tennis friends, youth sports is like a huge part of, you know, certainly Westchester culture, and it's like the world revolves around it almost, you know. And I've always thought, what a vehicle that could be for this work. But I don't see a lot of it going on, honestly. And even like I'm a councilman in Lewisboro, and we're not really doing much, and it's been on my sort of to-do list, right, to try and, you know, recruit the various sports leagues to do things. Are you guys trying to reach deeper down into this network to get things done?
Deeper down into that local, to the local grassroots piece, at least on the tennis side. So that's what our focus will be for. Yesterday, maybe some of you missed it. It wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. The White House announced it yesterday is annual Green Sports Day. So they asked all of the leagues and venues and teams to make a commitment for the following year. And so our commitment is to really focus a lot of what the program that we have in place at the Open and really trying to bring it down towards that grassroots. So it's reaching out to our members. It's also reaching out to our 7,800 organizational members and trying to get the messaging out there.
Kind of a toolkit for them to
trying to just at least give them information. I think that that's probably what you're looking for, is just information, because in all different communities the execution is probably different, but I think at least to just have a starting point or at least a resource of someone to go to, and I think that that's what a lot of the leagues are doing, because we're really all kind of talking to each other up at that national level. But
I think it has to be really nicely packaged, like, this is what you do, this is your package, and then some star power behind it to help give it some.
Of course. I mean, athletes are always a key part to all of the messaging, and I know that as athletes show that excitement for the movement, of course, want to bring them in under the umbrella.
That was a great question, because I know of so much going on nationally, NHL, NFL, they're all national, baseball, they're all doing a lot at that level, but you're right, they're not doing it down, and we're talking about the kids, who could really be influenced on their little league teams, so that's a great question. Anybody else?
Really interesting to hear about all that programs going on locally. Was wondering, I'm coming from the sustainable science end of things, and I'm always interested to know what you see as the barriers, the functional barriers to more sustainable action, not just from the public relations and marketing standpoint, as far as marketing, getting support for doing the sustainable actions, but also on the practical side. Do you see, what do you see is needed over the next, say 5 years from the science community, from the practical side of the things that are really keeping people from doing more?
I'm going to take a shot at that. I want to be sure I understood your question, but what came to mind as you were asking it was the ability to experiment, to fail, to assess, to retool, and to try again. And to learn from Germany and the Netherlands, to look and see what's been tried and experimented overseas and bring that back here. Because the science, there's a lot of science out there, and it can be kind of a thicket, and it can also be paralyzing. We even have climate deniers now with the storm. I mean, so how do we, you just have to keep moving forward and say, okay, I mean, Ann and I worked on a great project some years ago that was to promote leaf mulching in place, which folks thought, why? But a lot of times it starts with why. Why are you doing that? And we learned a lot, and we kept retooling. We kept saying, who are the conversations we need to have? How do you speak to that audience? Because paradigm shift isn't automatic, it's huge. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, I was thinking globally, not just about the science of the why, but really more the how.
Right.
And, do we need new products? Are there really big barriers to people using more sustainable goods and services? Is it economic instruments that are the big barrier? Like, where are you seeing the walls that people are running up against, even in your own organization?
So we actually don't think that being sustainable is rocket science. We actually think that it's very, very practical. And so the approach that we've taken, and those that have gone through the program, and I always say that we have a 60-page checklist, and it starts with organizational commitment, energy, waste, and water, transportation, green products, land use, and step by step by step, it's like this action, that action, and this is why, and this is how. And, in there we have, don't use antibacterial soaps, we have a lot of things that have raised questions. We had a conversation with Ann with the Greenberg Nature Center years ago, switching from, when the kids were, at the Nature Center and touching the animals and that kind of thing, what are the alternatives? But what happens when you go through the process, it's just educational. It's like, oh, there's a different way. Oh, we shouldn't really be doing that way. So I think that it's just, if you break it down, like sustainability can be this big word, but if you break it down just step by step, it's just, learning and understanding, what the impacts are. Why switch your, laundry detergent to, a non-toxic detergent? What's happening to the groundwater when you're, pouring certain things down the drain? We've lost a connection to the earth in a lot of ways. And so, I don't think it's, to us, it's practical. So we really do, we marry this whole behavioral piece, to the metrics. So, we're saying do all these things with energy, and then hopefully if you do all these things with energy, it's going to result in reduced emissions.
Right.
Yeah, can I just say something about this too? I'm in agreement with both Laura and Danny, but also that I think one thing is we need to get the infrastructure pieces out there, even if they're not perfect yet. For example, the kids in the schools that we work with, they can't recycle if there aren't recycling bins. My village of Irvington, people aren't going to recycle in the parks if there's not a recycling bin. So we have to stop arguing about getting the perfect bin. It's got to look right. It's got to have the right signs. It's got to be perfect first before you put it out there. No. Get one out there and then tweak it. Change it if you have to. I mean, we change signs in the cafeterias practically every day. But you can't get the behavior to change if you don't provide the elements that promote the behavior, and the UTA is really, really on that.
Yeah, because we've done that too, and that's been the biggest part of our program, and sort of our biggest challenge is that the U.S. Open is a 2-week event, 3 weeks if you call it, with the qualifying event. And so we go out and meet with, this is our plan for this year, and then we're, 3 days in, and it's like, oh no, we didn't think about the coffee stirrers, and, and things like that. And it's like, all right, well, we'll just run with it, and then we'll talk about it after the event, and fix it, and, and do it better next year. And so it is, a lot of this is about making mistakes.
Right.
And then hopefully having people feel guilty.
Right. But yeah, I just want to add, in terms of the technological barriers and sort of some of the challenges, what's been so exciting with our program, even just having started in 2009, we've seen incredible advances in terms of like the cost of solar going down and more businesses being able to adopt that. Also with, things like battery storage and electromobility. So cars can now run many more miles, with an electric charge, which wasn't the case when we first started. So we are trying to, bring those issues up through our program as well. And I think the technology is constantly changing, but it's going in the right direction, I guess is what I would say, and things are becoming more affordable and more mainstream. So
that seems like a great role of your organization, your initiatives, is to capture those lessons learned and also feed back to the marketplace, like, hey, we've had our cities, participants institute this technology, and here are the things that could be improved on it, or here's how to make it better.
Absolutely. And also because we're working with so many different industries, we can actually do that because we're working with libraries, we're working with small retail shops, hospitals, and they have different challenges and different technological and systems issues and needs. So, any other questions?
Any thoughts on vertical farms? Because now we're tying in not only all the sustainability, environmental, but it also there's a lot of energy and demand reduction to be tied into it as well.
Actually, that's one of the things that my colleague Rachel is working on in our greenhouse right now is vertical farming. Very important part of...
What is vertical farming? Can you explain that?
Basically, it's pretty simple, elementally structure, vertical, that enables you to grow significant amount of food in a
vertically.
Nice area, inside a building,
okay.
On your wall, outside.
Gotcha.
Right?
It's outside of the facade of the building.
Okay.
And you take all the solar energy off the building by putting it onto what's growing on the facade.
Like green roofing.
Many years ago, I had a conversation with the former director of the food bank for Westchester, who wanted to start a project, the Topsy-Turvy. You know Topsy-Turvy? It's like in low income in an apartment building, so folks could grow tomatoes. And that's the environmental justice piece of it. So just thinking about practical, simple ways. I'd love for somebody to pick that up again, because it can play out in all kinds of ways, and you don't have to do a ton of research. Just get out there and try it, and the deer can't get to it, right? So I think it's worth exploring. Well, you never know, right?
Yeah, but truly, getting everyone to grow some food, even if it's in a pot on your windowsill, if that's all you can do, is really an important thing. One of the things I wanted to say about the future, the vision for the future, it's about mindfulness. It's about mindfulness. If we all become more mindful in everything that we do, everything will change.
I never thought I'd hear about mindfulness at a business council event. So.
Thank you for using that word, Ann.
Good.
That was yeah. Any other questions before we wrap up? No? Okay. Does anyone want to add anything before we close? Or we
I would just encourage everybody to go see the rocket. Go see the rocket. The work that the folks at the ARC, that we helped you with that as a workforce grant. And if you there was a picture of County Executive Astorino with one of the fellows who was learning how to work it, who
sure we have that picture.
Could just describe the whole thing to you about what the rocket composter is. That
I didn't see it. Okay.
That is an awesome effort. It's happening right in the middle of the county, and I think is sort of the first wave of where we're going with things is composting. So it's just fun. Sustainability is fun, right? Mindful and fun. So.
Yay! Thank you very much. So I just want to briefly show that we do have dates for the rest of our series in case you want to make a note, but you'll all be getting invitations, but we do have these dates, so mark your calendars. We'll be back here December 9th, March 10th of next year, as well as May 12th, same time. Topics to be determined, so we're open to suggestions if anyone has any, so thank you all very much.